and gentlemen, it is now time to get on to our next keynote, which is location, and latency interconnectivity in gaming. Well, for this, we're going to be joined by Rob Bartlett, the CEO of WTFast. Well, being the CEO and founder of WTFast, a Canadian company that provides an optimized gaming network, also known as the Gamers Private Network, GPN, for MMO, FPS, and MOBA gamers, allowing online gamers to access gaming servers with an uninterrupted connection. Well, with this, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to call upon the stage and screen Rob Bartlett. Thank you for joining us. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rob Bartlett. I'm the CEO and founder of WTFast. That's right. I did say WTFast. We built a plug-and-play networking solution that's targeting gamers. We wanted to make sure we had an edgy and memorable brand, and that's where our name came about. So our mission and our vision is to connect anyone to anywhere faster. This keynote speech is about location and latency and interconnectivity in gaming. So I'm just going to share my presentation here and get right to it. Okay, so with WTFast, we launched in December 2009. We've been selling directly to gamers, and just to kind of give you some background about why I'm qualified to speak to this topic. We've been doing this for a while, selling directly to consumer, and then for the last 3 years, we've been doing deals with broadband providers. So this map view just kind of shows a high-level view of what we do. We have real-time measurements between each of our nodes that you can see on the map here. We have about 320 different nodes worldwide in 60 different regions. We have real-time measurements between each of those nodes, and we inject our own expert knowledge of how the internet works into the application to make the routing decisions across the internet. Very similar to if you look at Waze as a wayfinding app, or even Google Maps when you're driving around. If you're going from Los Angeles to New York, there's a whole bunch of different ways to drive there in a vehicle, right? There's freeways and back alleys and construction and accidents. And we help you to get around all those congestion issues on the internet. So it's kind of like Waze for the internet. We're the first to really innovate in this space. We've got 11 patents granted, and we're doing quite well. The way our technology is delivered is by either a PC application, which we've also built an SDK and an API for. So this application can be white labeled, or you can build your own technology on top of the SDK or the API. We're working with HiNet in Taiwan under the Game Booster brand. With Cox, we're working with them under the Elite Gamer brand in the US. Optus, we're under the GamePath brand in Australia, and then Singtel, we're actually using the WTFast brand in Singapore. So one of the key drivers for our broadband partners is they want us to support all devices. So coming soon, which we're very excited about, is mobile and also console and router. So our broadband providers, they would just want us to support everything. And so that's the reason why we have this initiative, and this falls towards our vision. We want to connect anyone to anywhere faster. So in order to do that, we have to support all devices. And this is what our broadband providers, our partners are asking us for. So that's what we're building. So that's my background. And that's why I'm qualified to speak on the topic of latency and online games. So now let's get into the nice details. So here's a great little case study. This is for League of Legends. So League of Legends, when the game first started out, the game servers were located in Los Angeles. So when the game servers were in Los Angeles, everyone on the West Coast and Hawaii even were quite happy because they were pretty close to the game servers. On the East Coast, not so much. They're quite far away from the game servers. And so, people in Los Angeles would have very low ping, like 10 milliseconds or lower. Whereas everyone on the East Coast would have a much higher ping. So this was not an ideal location for the game for this reason. So what Riot Games decided to do is that they decided to move the servers to Chicago. And the reason they did that is because they wanted the game server to be more equidistant to most of the players in North America. So when it ended up happening is that everyone in Los Angeles and the West Coast and Hawaii, of course, they were unhappy because you're further away from the game server when the servers are moved to Chicago. And Riot Games is actually based out of Los Angeles. So you can imagine even maybe some Riot employees were a little bit upset with the move. And you got the gamers in Hawaii who, the gamers, the servers on the West Coast were pretty close to them in Hawaii. So, they were able to play reasonably well. But once those servers moved to Chicago, some of the gamers in Hawaii claim that they have to be able to look into the future in order to play their game now. But of course, everyone in Chicago and the East Coast, they were quite happy. And so when you look at the location in Chicago for North America, it's a fairly good location that's equidistant to a lot of gamers. So on the next slide here, you'll see exactly why Chicago makes sense. So if you look at the population distribution in North America, there's a lot of people living in the eastern part of the US. So by putting the servers in Chicago, they were able to give more gamers a lower ping time while they're playing the game. So they're effectively able to serve more of the North American market with a great ping time. And this is one of the reasons why they did this. The further data travels, the higher the ping. So if you have your server set up closer to the gamers, the ping for those gamers is going to be lower. So one of the things that we've done related to this topic is we have surveyed a bunch of our users about this topic specifically. And with this survey question here, how important is ping speed? We asked the question, okay, well, how important, what sort of ping makes the game playable, right? So if you look at this survey result, you can see that about 47% of gamers think that ping needs to be 75 milliseconds or below to be playable. And so by League of Legends moving to Chicago, they were able to get more gamers in North America to that 75 or millisecond or lower mark. And so that's half of gamers, right? So if you're able to improve the connectivity for half your gamers, that means half of your audience is going to be quite happy with that delivery of that technology. And then you can see the distribution for higher pings as well. So even 10% of gamers think that you could even play with 200 milliseconds or more. Maybe that's the gamers in Hawaii who have to be able to look into the future, and then they've learned to deal with it, and that's the reason why they're happy with that. But you can see how the distribution across each of the different ping benchmarks and what gamers think about their connection. So another important question we asked our gamers is how important is lag and stability? So this is like jitter, packet loss, ping spikes. You can imagine when you're playing an online game, if you have an unstable connection, things are just moving around, bouncing around, and you're not going to be able to hit your target because everything is not smooth, right? If you have an unsmooth connection, if you have an unstable connection, it's going to be much harder for you to do your moves and do what you want in an online game. And 96% of gamers said that a smooth connection without jitter, without packet loss and ping spikes is very important. So this is something to keep in mind. And this is one of the things that our technology helps to improve is not only the average ping, but also the stability of the connection. So another key point that we asked our users is who do you blame if you're lagging? Right. So a key point to note is that 74% of gamers blame either their broadband provider or the internet for their lag, while about 26% blame their game provider. And I think this is actually a relatively accurate distribution of where the connection problems actually lie. So it shows that the gamers are fairly in tune with regards to where and why lag happens. So it was good to see this result. So another question we asked our users is how important is equal ping? So you can see that 66% of gamers think it's unfair if your opponent has a lower ping. So they have an unfair advantage over you. If they're at 10 milliseconds and 100 milliseconds and you're at 100 milliseconds, gamers have identified that, okay, that's not fair. And what's interesting is that the reverse is also true. So they think if your opponent has higher ping, 70% of gamers think that's unfair as well. So they recognize that, okay, the inequality of ping is important. And if it's not equal, then that means you're not having a fair match. And we also ask the question, okay, is it fair if everyone has the same ping? And this is, obviously very good to see as well. So 82% of gamers think that if everyone has the same ping, that's a fair match. So that's very key. And it was good to see this result as well. Okay, so equal ping versus perception of lag. So this question is related to if you have the same ping as your, if everyone has different pings, gamers are 72% more likely to blame lag when they experience it in online games. And then at the same time, if you have the same pings, only 43% of gamers are more likely to blame lag when everyone is playing at the same pings. So this shows that if everyone knows that they're playing at the same ping, they're much less likely to blame lag for their problems. So this question is related to equal ping and winning. So 89% of gamers are somewhat to extremely likely to feel like their winning team won because of skill and strategy if they know that everyone is playing at the same ping. Okay, so now this question is related to ping and prizes. 66% of gamers said they'd be willing to play at a higher ping in order to compete for a big prize. And 87% said they'd be willing to play at a higher ping in order to compete for a big prize if they know that everyone is playing at the same ping. So the perception of fairness and making sure that everyone is playing at the same speed to compete for that big prize is definitely important here. So the reason why these questions are very relevant is because we recently got one of our patents granted, which is focusing on optimizing and then equalizing online game connections. And since we got the patent granted, we decided, okay, well, let's build this technology and survey our users about this technology. And as I've shown you, the results are quite good. The reason this technology is important is because if you do just equalization, you're going to end up with an equalization point that is suboptimal. You can see in this example here, the equalization point is about 150 milliseconds, and not very many gamers are going to be happy with that. With our process, we're optimizing the connection and then equalizing it, creating an equalization point that is much lower at about 60 milliseconds. So what our technology enables is an end-to-end optimized equalization point for all gamers to ensure that everyone's happy. And we can ensure a true skills-based competition for the online game. As I showed in the previous survey questions, if everyone knows that they're playing at the same speed, they're much more likely to compete and be happy while doing so. They'll feel like they won because of skill and not because of their connection. And one of the cool things about this is that because we can provide a level playing field on the network, it makes things like programmatic lag compensation much less important. So this is something that can be reduced, and it also makes it easier to spot in-game cheaters. If everyone is playing at the same level network playing field on the network, anyone who's cheating is going to have an impossibly low reaction time. So as a result, you're able to more easily spot those cheaters to take care of them in the online game. So I'm showing here the circle of trust, and our goal is for WTFast to be in the center of it. So we're going to provide that trusted layer on the network. Anyone who's involved in the online competitions is going to be very happy with this because we're providing that trusted layer on the network, making sure that everyone's playing on an even playing field for true skills-based competition. You've got the 5G and network providers, the end users, they're going to be happy because they're going to be winning because of skill. The broadband providers are going to be happy because we can help to make them look good. The game providers themselves, of course, they're going to be excited to be able to provide games where it can be truly skills-based. The competition platforms, of course, they're going to be happy because they can do prizes based on this. And everyone who's advertising the competitions are also going to be very happy as well. And what's great about this, if you look at betting on esports, it's a $23 billion industry and growing fast. And if we can provide that trusted layer of network to ensure that those online esports competitions are fair, it's going to create a much better environment for online betting and ensuring that the data can be trusted and odds making can be done as well. So that's it for my presentation. It's too bad that I wasn't able to do this presentation in person, but I'd love to do a follow-up. There's my email address on this slide here. Feel free to contact me if you'd like to talk about the lag problems that I'm discussing here, and also our ability to improve and equalize those connections. Thank you.
So, well, thank you so much, Rob.